Welcome, divine souls, the anointed ones who carry the weight of wisdom, light, and a purpose far beyond this realm. You are not here by accident. You were chosen, not just to walk among the ordinary, but to awaken the extraordinary. And when a sleeping lion is disturbed, its roar doesn't just echo, it shakes the foundation of everything that dared to disturb its peace. Here's the sacred truth. To challenge a chosen one is to challenge the divine itself. It's like igniting a match in a storm of gasoline, reckless, arrogant, and destined to consume everything in its path. Those who fail to understand this cosmic law often pay a price far greater than they ever imagined. Consider this: over 83% of human conflict stems from envy. And yet, those who target the chosen never seem to envy the consequences of their actions. The universe has a way of balancing energies, of ensuring that those who provoke the light find themselves swallowed by their own shadows. Isn't it profound how the scales always return to equilibrium? They never grasp the enormity of your purpose, the sacred magnitude of your calling. They saw only the surface, mistaking your quiet strength for vulnerability, your patience for passivity. But they didn't realize that by tormenting you, they weren't just provoking you, they were provoking the divine forces that stand behind you. In this video, we're peeling back the layers of how the pain and injustice you endured didn't just stir your spirit. It angered the heavens. They thought they were striking a single match. Unaware they were igniting a blaze of karmic justice they could never extinguish. This is a story of divine retribution, cosmic irony, and the unstoppable force of spiritual fire they never saw coming. They underestimated you because they didn't understand the weight of your existence or the purpose woven into your soul. To them, you were just another face, someone they could ridicule, manipulate, or tear down. But what they failed to see was the divine mission embedded in your very being. Their actions weren't simply an attack on you. They were a challenge to the sacred forces that anointed your path. Every cruel word they uttered, every hurtful deed they inflicted, was like signing a spiritual contract they didn't understand, a debt their soul could never repay. Your silence wasn't submission, it was strength. Your endurance wasn't surrender, it was wisdom, born from the knowledge that the universe sees all and moves in its perfect timing. They treated your presence as ordinary, not realizing you were a mirror meant to reveal their own shadows, a light sent to guide or awaken them. Instead of recognizing the gift of your presence, they chose to strike at it, setting off ripples in the spiritual realm that now return to them tenfold. They dared to interfere with a divine plan, and now they face the consequences of a battle they were never prepared to fight. This is the reckoning. This is the moment when the universe reminds them of the forces they mocked, the purpose they tried to disrupt, and the divine power they underestimated. Buckle up, because what's coming is a fire that will illuminate the truth for all to see. They underestimated you, and in doing so, they sealed their own downfall. They believed they were extinguishing your flame, but instead, they stoked the fire within you. Now, as your light blazes brighter, they're left standing in the shadows, bewildered, watching the control they thought they had slip through their fingers. They didn't just underestimate you, they underestimated the divine hand that has guided your every step. Their arrogance convinced them they were untouchable, that they could harm you without consequence. They saw your silence as weakness, your patience as permission. But arrogance is a blindfold, one that kept them from seeing the spiritual laws that govern everything. Those laws are unyielding, and they always balance the scales. They weren't just hurting you, they dared to interfere with something sacred. As a chosen one, your life isn't just your own. Your journey, your mission, and even your struggles are intertwined with a divine plan. By trying to sabotage you, they didn't just attack a person, they challenged the authority of the divine. And here's the truth about divine authority: it never loses. They didn't understand that by coming against you, they were stepping into a battle far beyond their comprehension. They weren't just taking on you. They were taking on unseen forces. Forces they didn't believe in, but forces that are undeniably real. They acted as though there would be no reckoning, no divine justice to meet their actions. They convinced themselves their schemes would remain hidden, their lies unchallenged, and their path unscathed. But spiritual order always catches up, no matter how clever they believed themselves to be. Their actions sent ripples into the universe, and those ripples have returned as waves, carrying the weight of consequences they never anticipated. They underestimated not only you, but the power that walks with you. And now they face the truth they tried so hard to avoid. This isn't just a reckoning, it's a revelation. The light they tried to dim has grown into a radiant force they can no longer ignore. Arrogance always roars the loudest before the fall, and their downfall came faster than they could have imagined. The tables have turned, and now they're engulfed in the very fire they lit. Their schemes have unraveled, their masks have slipped, and the energy they sent to harm you has returned to them tenfold. They thought they were invincible, untouchable, immune to consequences, but they underestimated the power of divine justice. You didn't need to fight back. You didn't need to lift a finger. God saw everything, and now they're confronted with the undeniable truth of how wrong they were. Their arrogance wasn't just a mistake, it was their undoing. What they failed to realize is that they awakened something far greater than they could ever understand. They awakened a divine fire, a fire meant to refine you, not destroy you. They wanted to see you broken, crushed under the weight of their cruelty, questioning your worth, your purpose, and your very existence. But instead of breaking you, their actions became the catalyst for something extraordinary. Their plan backfired in ways they couldn't foresee. Instead of extinguishing your light, they ignited a blaze within you, a fire they could never hope to control. Every insult, every betrayal, every calculated attempt to tear you down was like pressure applied to coal, transforming it into a diamond. What they didn't understand is that when a chosen one is put through the fire, it doesn't consume them, it purifies them. The very pain they inflicted became your weapon, sharpening your resilience, your focus, and your faith. They were so blinded by their own need to see you fall that they completely missed the bigger picture. Every step they took against you only pushed you closer to your destiny. It's almost poetic. What they meant for your harm, God turned into your stepping stone. Now as they watch in disbelief, they see a version of you they never anticipated. Stronger, wiser, and utterly unstoppable. The energy they used to try to destroy you has fueled your transformation. What they intended to be your downfall became the foundation of your rise. They wanted to see you fail, but instead, they've witnessed your ascension. And it's a testament to the power of divine purpose. They thought they had orchestrated your failure, but all they've done is set the stage for your ultimate victory, a victory they'll be forced to witness. The fire they ignited wasn't your end. It was the spark that illuminated a version of you they can never defeat. Here's the truth. Their actions weren't just seen. They were witnessed, recorded, and weighed in the spiritual realm. Every cruel word, every calculated betrayal, every malicious scheme, they thought it all ended when you walked away, when no one stood up for you, or when earthly justice seemed absent. But what they failed to grasp is that nothing escapes divine attention, especially when it's directed at a chosen one. When you are a vessel of God, you do not walk this life alone. You carry a purpose that's protected, a destiny that's guided, and a spiritual defense system far beyond human comprehension. Their actions weren't merely attacks on you, they were a direct challenge to the divine plan working through you. Each offense they committed wasn't just an isolated act of cruelty. It became evidence in a spiritual case they didn't even know they were building against themselves. The spiritual realm operates on laws of justice, balance, and divine order. Every lie they told about you reverberated louder than they imagined. Every betrayal, no matter how hidden, was laid bare before forces far greater than their understanding. They believed they could escape accountability on this earthly plane, but their actions were never unnoticed. Ironically, they've become the architects of their own downfall. With every hateful act, they tipped the spiritual scales further against themselves. They may not have seen the consequences immediately, but divine justice operates on perfect timing, not human impatience. What they planted in darkness is now bearing fruit in the light, and they can no longer deny the truth. Justice isn't always instant, but for a chosen one, it's always inevitable. Their behavior became their testimony, and now, as they face the consequences, they must confront the reality of their own choices. What they intended for harm has only served to showcase the power of divine balance and your unshakable resilience. They mocked what they couldn't understand, but their mockery wasn't truly about you. It was about the light you carried and the divine favor they couldn't comprehend. Instead of seeking to understand the radiance within you, they lashed out. Why? Because your presence disrupted something deep within them. The truth of your existence, your calm confidence, your unshakable faith, it all forced them to confront shadows they weren't ready to face. And what people fear or fail to understand, they often choose to attack. Their laughter, their sarcasm, their attempts to diminish you were born of ignorance, but not just ignorance, rebellion. The light within you exposed their insecurities, their jealousy, and the fears they buried deep. Mocking you became their way of deflecting, of avoiding their own reflection in the mirror your presence provided. What they didn't realize is that mocking the chosen isn't just an act of cruelty. It's a rejection of divine energy itself. Every word they spoke against you wasn't just noise. It was an act of defiance against a power far greater than themselves. They mistook your silence for weakness, not understanding that rebellion against the light always comes at a cost. Their cruelty didn't diminish your light, it amplified it. While they were busy tearing you down, your strength grew. While they ridiculed what they couldn't comprehend, your purpose became clearer. And now, as they watch you rise, they're beginning to see the ultimate irony. What they mocked wasn't weakness, it was unshakable divine favor. Their attempts to break you only revealed a strength they could never understand. When you chose silence, they thought they had won. They mistook your quietness for surrender, your lack of retaliation for defeat. But they were wrong, profoundly wrong. Your silence wasn't weakness, it was wisdom. It wasn't submission, it was strategy. You understood something they didn't. Not every battle requires your voice. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is step back and let a higher power take over. While they were busy scheming, lying, and setting traps, you stayed still. Not because you couldn't fight, but because you knew that divine justice is infinitely more precise than anything you could deliver. Your silence wasn't inaction. It was the loudest call for intervention from the forces that truly matter. They laughed at your restraint, celebrated what they thought was your defeat. But all the while, the fire they lit was turning against them. The energy they used to harm you was already circling back. And by the time they realized it, it was far too late. The irony is that your silence didn't just protect you, it exposed them. In their arrogance, they revealed their true selves. Every lie, every cruel act, every false mask fell away. They thought you weren't watching, that you weren't capable of defending yourself. But your silence wasn't ignorance. It was the ultimate power move. And now, as the consequences unfold, they're beginning to understand what they never could before. The light they tried to extinguish is brighter than ever, and their actions have only served to highlight the unshakable strength that was within you all along. They ignored the warning signs, blinded by their pride, and now the truth is unfolding before them. What they mistook for weakness was a strength beyond their comprehension. Your silence wasn't surrender, it was strategy. By staying silent, you didn't lose the battle. You handed it over to a force that never loses, and that realization is their ultimate defeat. The warning signs were there, plain as day for anyone willing to see. A sudden streak of misfortune, unsettling dreams, a persistent unease whispering to their souls. These were not random occurrences. They were subtle lifelines, divine opportunities to pause, reflect, and change course. But their pride drowned out the whispers, dismissed the gut feelings as paranoia, and chalked up setbacks to bad luck. Instead of heeding the warnings, they doubled down, convinced of their invincibility. Divine mercy always precedes divine justice, even for those who do harm. The signs were not punishments. They were invitations to reconsider their actions, to step away from the path of destruction they were forging. But pride has a way of silencing reason and hardening the heart. They ignored the cracks forming in their plans and the unease growing within them. They mistook the delay in consequences as permission to continue. What they didn't understand is that the warnings were growing louder with every step they took toward their own downfall. By refusing to listen, they sealed their fate. Their pride blinded them to the very mercy that could have saved them and made them vulnerable to the fire they were so recklessly stoking. Now, as their world begins to crumble, the memories of those signs come rushing back. The dreams they shrugged off, the strange misfortunes they couldn't explain, the voice within that told them to stop. All of it was a lifeline they rejected. Their downfall wasn't a sudden event. It was a slow and avoidable descent, built brick by brick from their own stubbornness. And now the consequences are unavoidable. They thought they could bury you, silencing your voice, erasing your light, and eliminating the threat they perceived in you. But what they failed to understand is this. When they tried to bury you, they were planting a seed, unknowingly pushing you deeper into your divine purpose. Like a seed planted in the dark soil, what they saw as your end became the beginning of your transformation. The darkness they tried to trap you in became the perfect environment for your growth. Their efforts to smother you only nourished the roots of your resilience, grounding you deeper in strength and faith. They believed their actions had buried you for good, but instead, they created the conditions for you to rise stronger than ever. The very darkness they intended to harm you became the foundation of your rebirth. While they celebrated your supposed demise, your purpose was quietly taking root. Now, as they watch in disbelief, they're forced to confront the ultimate irony. Their plans didn't just fail, they backfired spectacularly. You've risen from what they thought was your grave, blooming with a brilliance they never expected. Their attempts to bury you only proved one thing. They didn't understand the unstoppable power of a seed. They thought they were burying your potential, but in truth, they were unknowingly nurturing it. Every attempt to break you, every scheme to hold you down, was pushing you closer to the breakthrough you were destined for. Like a seed planted in the earth, you needed a season of being hidden, tested, and strengthened before you could rise. In the depths of their schemes, you were silently transforming, gaining clarity, wisdom, and an unshakable resilience. They believed they had won because they couldn't see the quiet progress happening beneath the surface. But when the time came, you emerged, stronger, wiser, and unrecognizable to those who once thought they could destroy you. While you rose into your divine purpose, their lives began to unravel. The weight of their actions, the lies, the arrogance, the cruelty, became inescapable. What they thought they had buried wasn't silenced. It was growing into something far greater than they could have imagined. Their attempts to suppress you only set the stage for their own downfall. As you blossomed, their plans collapsed, exposing the flaws and weaknesses they tried to hide. The very energy they used to harm you circled back, triggering consequences they never anticipated. Their plans backfired spectacularly. Every move they made against you, every scheme crafted in malice, became a trap for themselves. They thought they could manipulate the universe, but they only outsmarted themselves. When you're aligned with a higher purpose, no amount of plotting or deceit can derail your destiny. Every action they took only tightened the noose of their own undoing. What they intended to harm you became the very force that revealed their true nature. Their lies, flaws, and weaknesses were laid bare for all to see. The webs they spun to ensnare you became the ones they were trapped in. Their plans were like boomerangs, returning to strike with greater force. Now, They are left reeling, surrounded by the wreckage of their own making. Instead of watching you crumble, they are confronted with their own failures, forced to reckon with the fallout of their choices. They thought they were burying you, but instead, they were digging their own graves. Their loss of favor is as inevitable as your rise to greatness. Every move they made to strip you of dignity, attack your character, or undermine your worth only worked against them. Their malice triggered a chain reaction that stripped them of everything they thought they controlled. Socially, the people they manipulated are now seeing the truth. Their influence has crumbled, their networks abandoned them, and the support they once relied on is gone. Spiritually, their disconnection from the divine has deepened. Every action they took against you was a defiance of a power greater than themselves. Now they find themselves in a spiritual drought, unable to receive the guidance and blessings they once took for granted. Materially, their grip is slipping. The wealth and success they clung to are dissolving. They thought they could take from you and still hold on to everything they had, but the universe doesn't work that way. The very blessings they tried to deny you are now flowing freely in your direction. The tables have turned. While they struggle to hold on to what they've lost, you are stepping into abundance, the blessings that were always meant for you. Their loss has become your gain, and now they must watch as the favor they tried to destroy carries you higher. In their arrogance, they provoke the wrath of a protective creator. What they thought was merely targeting you was, in truth, a challenge to the divine forces guiding your life. And here's the truth they failed to grasp. You are not just protected, you are chosen. And the Creator never allows harm to go unanswered. Their actions were not against you alone. They were against a power far greater. And now, as you rise, they face the consequences of challenging what they never could defeat. What they failed to realize was that in harming you, they weren't just targeting a person. They were provoking something far greater than themselves. The protective force of the Creator, who has always watched over you, was present in every step of this battle. They weren't simply taking aim at you. They were challenging the divine powers assigned to your life. Powers that do not tolerate defiance lightly. Every malicious act, every calculated lie, every attempt to tear you down wasn't just an attack on your character. It was a direct clash with a force far more formidable than they could ever comprehend. They saw you as weak, an easy target to conquer. But their arrogance blinded them to the truth. You are chosen, marked by divine protection, and shielded by a power they could never defeat. Now, as they begin to grapple with the consequences of their actions, they're starting to see the magnitude of their error. They thought they could escape the repercussions, that their cruelty would go unnoticed. But the universe doesn't forget, and the wrath of a protective Creator is not one to be underestimated. What they've sown is now returning to them, not in small measures, but with overwhelming force. The energy they used to harm you has turned into a storm they can't outrun. They thought they were in control, that they could manipulate the outcome. But instead, they were unknowingly fueling the fire of their own destruction. As you continue to rise, shielded by divine favor and purpose, they are left to contend with the fallout of their defiance. What they never understood is that by attacking you, they were writing the script for their own downfall. They've been caught in the powerful cycle of cause and effect, and the punishment they now face is far beyond anything they ever anticipated. The fire they set with such confidence, believing it would consume you, has become their own furnace. They turned up the heat with lies, betrayal, and cruelty, fully expecting to watch you crumble. But instead, they stoked a fire that now consumes them. The flames they kindled, thinking they would destroy you, have turned on them. Their own actions have become the inferno in which they are now trapped. While they celebrated what they thought was your defeat, you were rising, refined, and strengthened by the very fire they meant to harm you. And their arrogance led them to believe they could play with flames and walk away unscathed. But the universe has a way of turning intentions back on those who wield them with malice. Now, as they face the fire of their own creation, they're beginning to understand a truth they refused to see. The divine forces that protect you are not to be challenged, and the consequences of defying them are as with malicious intent. They lit a fire they believed would consume you, but that same fire has grown out of control, trapping them in the very inferno they created. What they fail to understand is that when you're chosen and protected, the flames of adversity don't destroy you. They forge you into something unbreakable. They thought the heat would weaken your spirit, but instead, it strengthened your resolve and sharpened your purpose. Meanwhile, the destruction they unleashed is consuming their own foundations. Relationships, opportunities, stability, everything they believed they could hold on to is being scorched by the fire they set. The more they struggle to escape, the hotter and more relentless the furnace becomes. What they once saw as their weapon of victory has transformed into a relentless force of karma, turning every ounce of their malice against them. No matter how far they run or how hard they fight, they can't escape the consequences of their actions. The harm they caused is now reflected back at them, multiplying in intensity and dismantling their peace, happiness, and future. The furnace they're trapped in is a mirror of their own darkness, a relentless reminder of the cruelty they once directed toward you. They sought to watch you burn, but now they are being consumed by the flames of their own making. In the end, what they thought would break you only made you unbreakable. Every act of cruelty, every attempt to tear you down, became fuel for your rise. They ignited a fire they couldn't control, and now they are engulfed in the consequences. While they wrestle with the wreckage of their actions, you stand unscathed, stronger than ever, and more aligned with your divine purpose. What they didn't realize is that they weren't just attacking you. They were challenging the divine protection that has always surrounded you. And the universe does not let such defiance go unanswered. The tables have turned. Their fire has become their furnace, and you, the one they sought to harm, are now proof of a profound truth. Nothing can stand against a chosen one who is divinely protected. What they intended for your harm has only set the stage for your greatest victory. While they face the relentless consequences of their actions, you walk forward, blessed and unstoppable. The universe has a perfect way of righting wrongs, and every step you take is a testament to the unshakable power of divine favor. Their loss is your gain, their downfall, your elevation. You've risen from the ashes, shining brighter than ever before, living proof that no weapon formed against you can ever prosper. As we close today's journey, remember this: you are not just enduring, you are evolving. The trials, the fires, the challenges, they're all shaping you into the unstoppable force you were always meant to be. You carry within you a light so powerful, so divine, that no darkness can extinguish it. Here on Wisdom Warrior, we honor your resilience, your growth, and your divine purpose. So keep rising, keep shining, and keep walking in your truth. You are chosen, you are protected, and you are destined for greatness. If this message resonated with your soul, let me know by liking, sharing, and subscribing to join our warrior tribe. Together, we're reclaiming our power, one truth at a time. Until next time, stay strong, stay wise, and remember, you are a wisdom warrior.